Sometimes, the most important moments in life arrive quietly, disguised as an ordinary decision. At this very moment, you may be standing at one of those crossroads without even realizing it. Deep down, many people carry a feeling that there is something more waiting for them, an opportunity, a breakthrough, or a chance to step beyond the limits they have accepted for too long. That feeling often appears as restlessness, a persistent curiosity, or the sense that life still has untapped possibilities ahead. It can surface late at night, when the world is silent, and your thoughts become impossible to ignore. The truth is that meaningful change rarely announces itself with certainty. It appears in small choices, unexpected opportunities, and moments that ask for courage before offering rewards. History is filled with innovators, dreamers, and determined individuals who achieved remarkable things not because they felt completely prepared, but because they decided to move forward despite uncertainty. Waiting for the perfect moment often means watching possibilities pass by. Growth begins when action replaces hesitation. Perhaps that is why this message feels familiar. A part of you already knows that progress requires commitment, not permission. If you have been searching for a sign to believe in your own potential, consider this a reminder that the future is shaped by the choices you make today. The next chapter of your story will not be defined by luck alone, but by your willingness to take the first step when the opportunity appears. Maybe you clicked this because you wanted a reason to laugh, to prove to yourself that this, too, was just another wild headline, another promise that can't possibly deliver. But listen closer for a second. You're still here, aren't you? That is not an accident. Pause. It's because a tiny voice inside of you, the one you let out only when it's midnight and no one's around, is desperate. Desperate for a sign, a cosmic green light, something big enough to smash through all the cynicism and just say, go. Here it is. Here's the real trick to miracles. They don't ever look like what you expect. They look risky, inconvenient, slightly embarrassing. They look like the thing other people will doubt, the idea your friends will gently mock, the impulse your parents will warn you about. Elon Musk has heard it all. Too wild, too soon, too much. But every single breakthrough, SpaceX, Tesla, even the wild dream of Mars, started as a miracle disguised as a disaster, just waiting to be intercepted by someone who refused to scroll past. He'll tell you right now, if you were standing in front of him, in that dead face, no-nonsense tone of his, miracles are always time-sensitive. The window doesn't stay open just because you wish it would. And right now, for reasons you'll only understand by the end of this, the window is wide open, but it's shaking in the wind, and you have to move before it slams shut. Pause. So let's do something almost nobody on the internet will ask of you. Close your eyes for the next 5 seconds. Let your mind wander. Picture every crazy idea you ever had, the things you wanted to try, the places you wanted to go, the skills you wanted to claim as your own. Picture them not as, maybe someday, but as real, one step away, right behind a door that's cracked open. Now, open your eyes. That's the edge Elon Musk lives on every single day. The difference between genius and the almosts is not talent, it's just this: he opens the door before it closes. And today, for you, there is a door right here. But you can't just stand in the hallway and think about it. You can't just bookmark this moment for later, or promise yourself you'll come back when you feel more motivated. Miracles don't do later. They're hungry, angular, impatient. They want risk. They demand a step. So pause, again, just for a beat. Notice the choices drifting through your head. You already know the one you want. That dream you buried, that experiment you talked yourself out of, that second chance you quietly beg for in your mind when no one can hear you mutter. Here comes the contrast. Most people, really, almost everyone, lets these chances die in silence. The miracle doesn't vanish in a storm of rejection, it just fades, gently, unremarked. like an old notification you never bothered to read. And that's how regrets are born. Not with fire, but with a quiet, shivering chill. You don't want to add one more regret to your list, do you? This isn't about sending you into a frenzy of anxiety. It's about waking you up, the way Elon tries to wake up everyone stuck in routines, thinking the next best thing is out there, or for someone else. He's not a magician, but he's become the world's best at finding the place where courage is just a breath away from reward. And now, he's handing that courage to you. For the next few minutes, consider this. Your miracle isn't on layaway. All it's waiting on is for you to notice, to act, to bolt through the door before the lock clicks. The warning is clear. Outcome is not guaranteed except for one certain fact. If you wait, you lose. So stay with me. Breathe. Feel that restless heat? That's not anxiety. That's opportunity. Rising as soon as you listen fully. The miracle never comes gift-wrapped. It comes wearing the mask of fear and discomfort. Elon Musk is pointing to the window. Right now, choose or lose. Not just him. Not just this message. Your entire future. The next chapter is already counting down. You stayed. That alone separates you from nearly everyone else who saw this. Doesn't matter what you're feeling, even if it's doubt, or irritation, or that flicker of, I don't know about all this. You chose to pay real attention. And that is the rarest miracle of all. Almost nobody does it. Let that land for a minute. Really let it settle. We live in a world where people treat their dreams the same way they treat pop-up notifications. Dismiss. Dismiss. Somewhere along the way, many people learn to dismiss anything that feels uncertain, challenging, or outside their comfort zone. It becomes easier to stay where things are familiar than to admit how deeply they long for something more. Yet there is always a quiet voice beneath the noise, a persistent feeling that life could change in remarkable ways if they were willing to take a step forward before the opportunity fades. That feeling is not weakness or wishful thinking. It is often the first sign that growth is calling. History is filled with individuals who achieved extraordinary things, not because they possessed special guarantees, but because they acted when the outcome was far from certain. Consider entrepreneurs like Elon Musk, whose journey was marked by decisions that appeared risky, uncomfortable, and even unreasonable to many observers. While others waited for perfect conditions, he moved ahead despite uncertainty. The lesson is less about fame or success, and more about the willingness to embrace possibility when there is no promise of immediate reward. Take a moment to reflect on what you claim to be waiting for. Is it confidence, direction, or permission to begin? Too often, people postpone meaningful action by convincing themselves that a better time will arrive. In reality, that ideal moment rarely appears. Progress often begins when someone chooses action despite hesitation. Growth asks for commitment before certainty, and meaningful change rarely arrives wrapped in convenience. The path forward may feel uncomfortable, but discomfort is often where new opportunities quietly begin. It will never offer a perfect, painless exit from your comfort zone. The moment to leap never feels exactly right, which is why most people pass up the chance every single time it comes, even when they've been begging for a sign. Even when they say, if I only got one more shot, I'd take it. The real shot is what you're experiencing right now, not later. Not when you get your confidence up, or a windfall lands in your lap, or someone else believes in you first. Right now, this barely noticeable moment in your life, where you decide to take the next breath just a little differently. The future doesn't swing wide open for most. More likely, it creaks and protests. Most quit the second it gets hard. But those who don't, those who ignore the thickness of doubt, those who step in when their heart is racing, they're the ones who accidentally discover that miracles shriek through a life like lightning, just long enough for the fearless to reach up and grab them. Let's make this real. Picture the thing you most want. Now imagine it with the door almost closing, The slab of wood moving, the threshold almost gone. Your muscles tense, because you know if you wait, even a second, it's over. That trembling in your chest, that, Musk would call, the edge. It is the place risk and miracle live together, and nobody comfortable ever walks through it. Contrast that with how almost everyone else lives, waiting for the teacher to call on them, waiting for an invitation, a tap on the shoulder, now is safe, waiting for the world to grant permission. You know what happens to those people, really? They become spectators to their own lives, watching, scrolling, cursing bad luck, envying miracles that seem to happen to someone else. Pause. That is not going to be you. You're still here because there's one piece of you, at least, that will not die wandering. That is rare. That is bold. That's where the miracle sucks in its breath and leans closer. You don't need all the answers. You just need to lean in hard enough to commit, to move even in uncertainty. A lot of videos call this a call to action, but that's corny. This isn't about clicking a button or buying a course. Listen for what it really is, your future tapping on the glass, begging you to notice before it moves on to someone braver. Right now, you know at least one action that would stretch you. Maybe it's finally making that call, applying for that job, showing up for something you've been ducking your whole life. Maybe it's as small as standing up for your own voice in a conversation, or forgiving yourself for failing before, so you can let in the next miracle that comes. Pause. Here's where you have to choose. Ignore the feeling, shrug off the urgency, scroll away, and you'll never know what might have been. But act. Do the thing that scares you, even if it's tiny, even if nobody else notices. That's the magic. That's the miracle. That's the door Musk keeps talking about. The door everybody else misses because they're too busy looking for neon signs. The miracle is always ordinary at first. It's always disguised as a decision you could make, or not. So, test yourself now. Are you one of the rare few who gets to the miracle, or do you add another tally to the column of almost? Right here, right now, you have a power that nobody else can give you. The power to choose discomfort while everyone else picks routine. That's what Elon bets on, every single day. That we, the ones who risk, will define the future, while everybody else replays the past. You're almost at the heart of the message. Don't let go now. Breathe, and get ready. This is the middle stretch, the part where most people get restless and want to walk away, where the real value of the message starts to hit you, not in fireworks but in slow, insistent realization. If you're still listening, it means you're not just a tourist here. You're a builder, whether you know it yet or not. Pause. Let that soak in for a moment. Because if miracles were fast, cheap, or obvious, everyone would have one. If this was easy, if it was guaranteed, a miracle would lose its very meaning. The thing that makes a miracle isn't lightning. It's your ability to see the flicker and reach for it before it vanishes. Some opportunities arrive quietly, lingering at the edge of our lives while we wait for certainty that never comes. The truth is, remarkable achievements are rarely built on comfort or guarantees. People often imagine success as the result of confidence, but more often, it grows from persistence in the face of doubt. Those who accomplish extraordinary things are not fearless. They simply become familiar with uncertainty and refuse to let it decide their future. Every ambitious goal, every breakthrough idea, and every meaningful transformation begins in territory where the outcome is unknown. The stories we admire today were once fragile possibilities that many considered unrealistic, impractical, or destined to fail. Yet, progress belongs to those willing to move forward despite unanswered questions. While others remain occupied searching for the perfect moment, growth happens in the imperfect present. That's why waiting can become the greatest obstacle of all. The plans postponed for another season, the conversations delayed until confidence arrives, and the dreams tucked away for a safer day often carry the greatest potential. Real change rarely hides inside flawless preparation. Instead, it lives within the decisions that challenge comfort, demand courage, and require action before certainty appears. Perhaps the next chapter of your life is not waiting for more approval, more knowledge, or a better set of circumstances. Perhaps it is waiting for a single step forward. The possibility you've been searching for may already be standing in front of you, disguised as a difficult choice, a new beginning, or a chance you've been hesitant to embrace. The edge you're avoiding is exactly the frontier you need to cross. Contrast this with what you see everywhere else. The world is overflowing with people proud to keep their lives manageable, predictable, safe, and yet they're restless, bored, privately hungry for something that feels like purpose. But purpose is a byproduct of pushing, of risking, of acting where nobody guarantees applause. Elon has faced years, literal years, of people misunderstanding, laughing, criticizing, even celebrating his failures. But while they reacted, he moved, and every move stacked up until suddenly, miracle. Pause here, let's switch lenses. Imagine, for just 60 seconds, you adopt Elon's mindset fully. When the average person gets anxious, you lean in. When a door starts closing, you don't just stare, you wedge your foot in so hard, even fate has to stop and watch. What changes? What part of your life opens up like a fresh page if you allow yourself to stare down the discomfort, to get a little weird, to admit that normal never got you what you want? Every single ordinary miracle, every new invention, every leap of art, every shift in your relationships, every risky text, every quit, and every beginning happen the same way. One person's refusal to let the miracle slip by without a fight. So, what's your fight? If you can name even one action you've been avoiding, even one, you already know where the edge really is for you. Pause. And let's name the fear. Because it's loud, isn't it? What if I mess up? What if it fails? What if I waste my chance and everyone sees? Here's Elon's answer. Who cares what they see? They're not building your future, you are. And the only miracle you'll ever see is the one on the other side of failure. The thing people misunderstand about miracles, they always look like failure right up until the instant they don't. Let's get practical. Let's get small. What can you do, in the next hour, that your future self would thank you for? Not tomorrow, not next week. Something now that bends the timeline ever so slightly toward the bravest possible version of your life. Maybe it's writing down your first idea. Maybe it's shutting out the noise for half an hour and finally planning the leap. Maybe it's asking for help. Maybe it's just saying, publicly, that you're ready for what comes next, even if your voice shakes. Pause. The difference between the ones who get the miracle and the ones who don't is simple. Action. The people who risk being foolish, who act without certainty, whose curiosity is stronger than their comfort zone. They collect the hidden opportunities everyone else overlooks. You, right now, can refuse to settle. You, right now, can decide this is the moment you stop dodging the risk and start betting on yourself. It isn't about waiting for luck or the universe to bless you. It's about showing up, again and again, even if the only reward at first is discomfort and growth. And if that sounds too simple, remember, every major shift in history started with an act so small it looked insignificant at the time. Elon's first code, his wild business plan, his first shaky pitch to a room that didn't care. Seeds look like nothing until you give them time, sweat, and the belief that something bigger might emerge. Pause. One last time, before we cross the threshold. Somewhere along the way, you kept moving when it would have been easier to stop, and that alone says more about your strength than you may realize. The person you were yesterday might have hesitated, questioned every step, or turned away when uncertainty appeared. Yet here you are, still looking ahead, still willing to explore what could come next. That matters. The transformation you've been searching for may not arrive with flashing lights or extraordinary headlines, but its impact can be just as profound because it represents something far more valuable: your decision to participate in your own future. The season of standing on the sidelines is fading, and what lies ahead depends on the choices you make from this point forward. For a moment, set aside the noise, the endless demands, and the doubts that compete for your attention. Focus instead on the possibility that exists right now. Opportunities rarely announce themselves with complete certainty. They often appear as quiet invitations that ask whether you're willing to move before every answer is revealed. History is filled with people who reshaped their lives not because conditions were perfect, but because they chose action over hesitation. Every meaningful achievement, every breakthrough, and every remarkable journey began with someone deciding that comfort was no longer enough. The difference between remaining where you are and stepping toward something greater often comes down to a single decision: the willingness to recognize a moment of possibility and respond before it slips away. Elon Musk knows it. He's lived it. But even more than that, he's watched other people miss their chance, and regrets haunt them much longer than failure ever will. Why is this message so urgent now? Because miracles, by their nature, don't linger forever. They're impatient. The chance to transform, for you, for anyone, never waits. So many people back off and hesitate, but you didn't. You listened. You leaned in. You let yourself hope, even if part of you still wants to retreat. That is what separates you from almost everyone. The miracle is not a gift you passively unwrap. It's a new reality you choose, over and over again, until everyone else finally sees what was possible all along. So, what do you do? Right here, at the threshold. There's only one thing that matters now. You turn this from a message into a movement. Not a movement you broadcast to millions, not a movement that demands perfection, but a movement in your own life. One tiny miracle-sized action that proves this wasn't just another, almost. One risk you take, even if it's messy or half-formed, because you'll remember, years from now, that it happened the night you decided to be someone who steps through the door. Pause, reflect. Consider all the times you waited before, all the comfort you chose, all the chances that slipped by because you thought you needed another guarantee. Forgive yourself, deeply, for all that fear. It's human. It's normal. It brought you here. But don't keep paying the price of, almost, for the rest of your life. You can change the story now, even if it's inch by inch. See, the world is not changed by the ones who wait. It's shifted, quietly, and then all at once, by the few who bet on themselves without assurance. Elon Musk is not asking you to do something impossible. He is begging you, right here, right now, to do something uncomfortable. To claim a miracle not with wishes, but with the smallest step in its direction. It might feel ridiculous or insignificant, but you will know in your body that you moved, maybe for the first time in years. If you do nothing, if you shut this off, your life will go on, mostly the same. And no one will blame you. The miracle does not wait for blame, it just fades while you look the other way. But if you answer, if you treat today like your only shot, the world begins to bend. It happens quietly at first. Different choices, new energy, unexpected outcomes. But you'll feel it. You'll feel yourself transforming from an observer to a creator of your own luck. Pause and listen closely. You owe yourself that much. Don't let another headline, another Elon Musk video, another, someday, be the only story you ever collect. Whatever the miracle is, healing something inside you, launching a project, giving yourself permission to rest, or to move, or to try again, it only becomes real if you do the work nobody wants to do, show up, scared, and take one clear step, now. Consider this final thought for a moment. Extraordinary changes seldom happen by accident. They appear uncommon because most people remain where it feels safe, familiar, and predictable. Yet something shifted within you today. You stayed long enough to reflect, to question, and perhaps reconnect with a part of yourself that had been buried beneath routines, distractions, and endless noise. That rediscovery matters more than you may realize. It is the moment you remember that your ambitions still deserve attention, your hopes still deserve space, and your future is still waiting for your participation. Don't allow that realization to drift away once this moment passes. Give it substance through action. Keep it simple and real. Make the call you've been postponing. Begin the project you've been imagining. Offer the words you've been holding back. Close the chapter that no longer serves you. Or take the first step toward an idea that has quietly lived in the back of your mind. Progress rarely arrives with certainty. It usually begins with courage. Many innovators, dreamers, and builders understood this truth. Meaningful change happens when ordinary people decide not to surrender to hesitation. What comes next is entirely yours to shape. This moment will not stay frozen forever, and opportunities often reward movement more than perfection. Trust what you've already recognized. Lean into the challenge rather than avoiding it. The next chapter of your story is waiting, and only you can decide whether it becomes another forgotten possibility or the beginning of something remarkable. The choice is already in front of you.